Kalamazoo watershed is located in the southwestern of Michigan. At the heart of the region lies the Kalamazoo River, which flows through the watershed. The watershed is home to a rich variety of ecosystems, making it an important hub for biodiversity and environmental balance. The history of the Kalamazoo watershed reflects the evolving relationship between nature and human activity. Initially, indigenous communities sustainably managed the land. However, European settlement and industrial expansion brought the significant changes. Wetlands were diminished, forests cleared for agriculture, and urbanization further intensified ecosystem fragmentation. Today, policy-driven initiatives emphasize sustainable management to restore the watershed. The Kalamazoo watershed has evolved from indigenous stewardship to an area shaped by industrialization and urbanization development. Over time, activities like paper milling, dam construction, and suburban expansion fragmented ecosystems, with wetlands especially reduced by 40%. The main issues within the watershed are ecological fragmentation, loss of natural habitats, reduction in wetlands and forested areas. Our design introduces a new mode to manage ecological systems, focusing on watershed-based planning that integrates conservation, tackles multiple issues, and takes a systemic approach. Unlike traditional methods tied to political boundaries, this mode prioritizes ecological continuity and collaborative governance.
The project applies three main measures: restricting development, land swaths, and establishing green infrastructure, all operated under a standardized framework. This includes seeking relevant policy support and institutional funding to implement the initial plan for each parcel of land. Specific actions include restricting nature areas development, land swamp for nature continuity, built environment intensification, set green infrastructure between nature and the built environment, integrate grid-based green infrastructure into a whole built environment, constructing green infrastructure in vacant spaces of built environment.
Focusing on the watershed scale, excluding nature areas like wetlands and forests, we categorize human-impacted regions into 6 conditions based on their characteristics: family-scale farms, interspersed with wetlands and forests; mechanized large-scale farms; intensive monoculture agricultural land; urban areas; minimal green spaces; suburban areas; a mix of factories and farmlands; rural rivers, surrounded and polluted by farmland; lakes, encroached upon residential areas. How can we reconnect these fragmented nature areas?
Identified actual samples of 6 territory types and created abstract planar representations. We developed phased strategies to enhance ecological connectivity for each territory type. For family farm areas in agricultural land, the initial phase involves basic modifications, such as establishing buffer zones, creating green belts along roads, and removing certain side roads. This is followed by farmland to forest swamps to enhance ecosystem connectivity. For large industrial farm areas, the first phase includes foundational improvements like buffer zones, wildflower meadows, and corridors. Subsequent steps involving implementing agroforestry and multifunctional farmland design. For urban land in city centers, the initial phase introduces buffer zones, transforms abandoned factory sites into ecological parks, and establishes floodplains at a confluence of tributaries with the Kalamazoo River. The next phase focuses on reducing surface parking by constructing parking garages, converting parking lots into green spaces, and encouraging riverside residents to relocate to multi-story apartments or other areas. This adds more green space to the city and improves river health. For suburban areas, the strategy begins with establishing buffer zones around factories and implementing agroforestry in farmland areas. The next phase involves relocating some farmland into residential zones to create community farms. For water bodies in rural areas, in lakeside housing areas, the plan begins by establishing centralized recreational platforms in the lake to replace individual platforms along the lake shore, and creating corridors connecting forest to the lake. Next, buffer zones along the lake shore and rain gardens in residents' backyards are introduced to enhance the lake's ecological health. For the Kalamazoo River in rural areas, the first phase involves establishing buffer zones, gradually removing abandoned dams, and constructing corridors. In the next phase, wetlands are added along the river to enhance its ecological functions.
This is a transitioning family farm area where farmland is being converted into agroforests. Farmers can still maintain crop income during the transition. The swamped forest, partially cleared of native trees, is replanted with high-value crops like walnuts to provide an alternative income source once the farmland fully transitions into forest. Its closer proximity to main roads improves transportation efficiency. Roads with well-preserved green spaces on both sides are removed, with parking lots added at both ends to allow residents to return home within 300 meters. Along the way, ample lighting and inviting sports facilities are provided. The grass-covered paths ensure the safety of migratory animals. This is a successfully transformed urban area. Citizens previously living in lakeside housing have been relocated to new apartment buildings. The vacated land is repurposed with floodplain and small islands to enhance ecological benefits. The site closer to the city center is developed into an ecological park, serving as the main access point to residents to the river, reducing non-point source contact. The opposite side is planned as a nature area, strengthening the river's role as a wildlife corridor. Additionally, scattered parking lots are consolidated into a zonal parking structure, with the former lots converted into urban green spaces, providing stepping stones for birds.